Welcome, everybody, to episode 346 of WordPress Weekly for Wednesday, February 20th, 2019. I'm your host, Jeff Chandler, joined by Mr. John James Jacoby. Hello, sir.
Hello, sir. How the heck are you?
Not bad, not bad. Working on getting some sleep.
Sleep is good.
Even though I'm a remote worker, I still don't get enough sleep.
Me neither.
What's up with that?
I don't know, man.
Makes no sense.
There's no shortage of stuff to do. I mean, we've been remote workers for a long time. There's a never-ending amount of stuff you could do, bugs to fix, words to write, articles to investigate, things to research, test, use, talk about. I mean, when do you turn it off? I think it's probably not unusual to not get enough sleep, but it's important. I don't know about you, but when I'm feeling tired, and Carrie has seen this happen during the sugar calendar release cycles, sprint stretch to the finish line that's been happening, is I'll end up working quite a bit just from bed. Like, I know it's not healthy. I know everyone says you're not supposed to do it. But there's something kind of comforting about waking up, opening my laptop.
You don't have to do your hair. You don't have to brush your teeth. You just open a laptop. You skip all that. Get right into work.
And then when it's time to take a shower and go out into the world and get ready, then that is a whole different part of the day that it doesn't involve work. And you take a break and you go out into the world and do things. But other than that, I think you find different ways, healthy or otherwise, I guess, to rest without necessarily getting good sleep. But man, sleep is important. I've never slept well. How about you?
All those years working the night shift, the third shift, I've had problems sleeping at decent times. I've been going through cycles lately where I'll sleep in the evening, wake up in the morning, and then eventually I'll get to that point where I'm back to going to bed real late at night, waking up at noon, and it's just all these various phases.
The very American trend of working 8, 9, 10-hour sprints, like stretches all at once, and then kind of being exhausted, it feels very not normal. My body's never really reacted very well to the 12-hour, 10-hour, 8-hour stretch of a workday. Like the much more, I feel like the bimodal sort of 4-hour shifts or 3-hour shifts, and having a break in the middle of the day for a few hours and coming back at it refreshed with different perspectives and stuff is like a healthier approach to getting things done. So the odd thing then is we could do that. Why don't we?
I don't know, but in kindergarten I hated nap time. At 35 years old, I love nap time.
Me too.
It's kind of funny how that works out. On today's show, it's going to be a bit more serious. It may be a short show, maybe a long show, but there are things to talk about today. But
there's a lot
we've mentioned there's a lot happening, but to be honest, none of it matters compared to this story today. This topic that we're going to talk about. We've talked about Alex Mills' battle with leukemia and cancer. He's been battling leukemia for the better part of 2 years, and he's the author. He goes by Viper 007 Bond, but I like to call him Viper Bond 007. It's a lot easier for me to remember and say. But he's been battling leukemia, and he announced on his blog the other day with the post titled "Leukemia Has Won." And he says, quote, "Despite my best efforts over the past 2.5 years, the leukemia has won. Due to liver inflammation and GVHD, the liver is too damaged to continue with treatment, and there are no further options. I don't want to spend the rest of my time in the hospital, so I am choosing to remain at home where I can be comfortable with family and friends. If you want to read more about my journey through all of this, here are all of my posts with the cancer tag," end quote, which you could find on alex.blog, which is on WordPress.com. So I wanted to talk a little bit. In that post, he goes on to thank his coworkers, his car friends, and the people of the WordPress community. And he put out a call for people to fork and maintain and make sure, it's an open invitation. His plugins are open source to host it on WordPress.org. He's got quite a few plugins actually on WordPress.org. And since they're open source, anybody could fork them and maintain them, and they can live on long after Alex leaves this life. So Alex is very much alive right now, and I don't want to start talking about the past tense. It's kind of weird. It's awkward for me in this situation. But first, it's very sad that Alex is a cool guy. I never got the chance to meet him in person. I think he showed up at WordCamp San Francisco 2013, but I didn't get a chance to attend that. He lived out on the West Coast, I believe, Portland, Oregon area, and ended up becoming. He was one of the early supporters of WP Tavern. He joined the WP Tavern forum, and he's got a number of posts on the forum. He was a supporter of the site back in the day. And then eventually, a number of years ago, he became an automatician, which is really cool, sort of like a dream job for him. So, and then he also created the Vipers Quick Tags video plugin, which by and large, that was like 6-7 years, no, probably like 10 years ago or something like that. He created that plugin. It was kind of the precursor to native O-embed support that we have on WordPress today that was added back in 2016. In fact, when O-embed support was added into WordPress, he announced that the video quick tags plugin would be discontinued, and he actually created a small migration plugin to handle the shortcode aspect of that plugin to use the O-embeds. So that was really, really neat of Alex to do. And of course, he also has the very popular Regenerate Thumbnails plugin, which many people over the years have said should be built in the core. The time may come where that eventually does get built in the core. But Alex is alive and well. And Alex, if you get the chance to hear this, if you're listening to us, man, our best wishes to you. And I hope that you're enjoying. You're getting the most out of this precious time you have left with us in the physical plane, and I know you're going to be surrounded by your friends and family. And I wish we would have got a chance to meet in person. But thank you very much for your contributions to WordPress and the world. And we'll get into a little bit more about some of the things he's done and some of the reactions. But it's very somber reading his post, John, and knowing that it comes from a place of knowing that your time, that your time is limited. And so there's that aspect to it. And there's also something that we were talking a little bit about off the show, where if you look at the comments, there's about 225 comments on his post from people giving their best wishes, memorializing him, wishing him the best. And it's not, I think it's sort of common, or sometimes when we enjoy someone's presence or we want them to be around in our life longer, we sort of say things a bit selfishly when somebody is at this kind of juncture in their life.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's sort of, it's fascinating to read the comments a little bit and watch everybody deal and cope with loss differently, because everyone is at a different stage with it, and everyone has a different relationship with the person or the thing that they are losing. I know we've talked about it with pets on the show. We've talked about it with friends. We've talked about it with other staples in the WordPress community. We've talked about it with family members. We talked about it across the board, dealing and coping with loss. And so it is interesting for me reading a lot of the comments, because you do see everyone cope with it in a different way. And like it's just interesting to see people react and send their well wishes, send their prayers, send their sign offs, share their love for Alex, for his accomplishments, for everything. And so even though it's and so here's the thing that I love about about Alex and his blog in general, and I mean, to make it a little bit, maybe slightly more relevant for the show, but just in general, is that this is kind of like what blogging is meant to do, is to share your ideas, your thoughts, your feelings, your successes and your failures and your fears and all those things. And so, when I read Alex's post, this is something that he shared publicly on the internet for everyone to read, and he did so with comments turned on, right? So that means this is an open invitation for everyone to share their feelings and comments. And if it wasn't for those decisions, and Alex is well aware of those decisions, then no one would be posting their feelings and their comments on this blog post. And so the people that they're choosing to share their own feelings, and a lot of the feelings that you see really are people coping, people that are surprised, shocked, sad, people that have never met Alex, that don't know him, people that are thanking him, appreciative. It's just everyone, responding. And so you can read all of these comments because they're all here. And it is a reminder of blogging kind of going right, sharing, responding, just everyone kind of being together for it. It's something that, frankly, I wish happened more and more regularly and under better circumstances. And that's how I commented, but and I hope everybody does and should. But
there's a couple things here that, first, Alex was in a position to be able to, there are comments out there that say, well, go check out this alternative form of healing, or go check out this new experimental thing with cancer. But Alex has reached that point where, based on circumstances and I'm sure if there was some option available to him, he probably would have taken it. But at this point, he is able to make the choice to go out on his terms.
That's the part of it that, outside of Alex and outside of WordPress, but just in general, that kind of blows my mind, is that, and not to be critical of any one person's comments here. That's not how I'm trying to be with some of this, but that's what I mean, is people are in a different place when they're sharing their feelings and comments, because you kind of would think that maybe talking about, like, why don't you try this one last thing, is sort of the advice that you don't want to give in a circumstance like this. But that an open comment form, you're gonna get anything. You're gonna get a whole wide range.
And you can't fault people for the people who lose no hope no matter what. They always have some sort of hope. There's always something that you could do or you could try.
The hardest part, I think, about, not the hardest part. It's just interesting to see how many people are accidentally thinking of their own feelings while they're posting or replying comments. And I'm going to catch flack for probably saying this, because, again, I'm really not trying to be critical of people's comments, because I know how difficult that all of this is for everyone. But it is the most difficult for Alex, frankly, and so it's really, it is a symbol of the imperfection of the human race, that sometimes it's thoughts and prayers when it's it's
John, I
not.
don't know if you've ever thought about it, but I've thought about it. I've joked around about it, and sometimes I think, when I die, if I passed away, what would people say about me? What would my obituary
I
say?
know.
How would people comment on this?
Mm-hmm.
And this is kind of a unique situation where Alex knows full well that his time is nearing and is coming to an end.
Mm-hmm.
And we're in a unique position because he made the decision to
Right.
publish this blog post and to have comments open
Mm-hmm.
to where we can tell Alex what we want him to know, what we want him to know that we
Right.
think about him in
That's
the
right.
comments. And he has the opportunity to read those and to know the impact that he's had on so many different people. He's able to see that, while he's alive, while he's here.
Right.
And I think that's it's just an interesting situation.
It's a
unique position to be in.
It's unique, and I'm a little surprised it's as unique as it is right now. I mean, I'm happy that it is unique because that means that there are not as many people in a position like Alex is in to have to worry about it, I guess. But yeah, it's I don't know. It's
look, nobody wants to be in this position. If you could avoid being in this position, I think you would. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it is what it is, and sometimes you don't know when your time is up. You just leave. Mm-hmm. You don't have this opportunity. You'll never know the impact mm-hmm. you've had on so many people. But something I wanted to talk about. So, aside from being involved in the WordPress community, Alex was mm-hmm. one of the founders mm-hmm. of a forum community called Final Gear, which mm-hmm. was a sort of a fan site based on Top Gear, which was initially based in the UK. Mm-hmm. And basically, the people, if you enjoy trains and you like watching trains, they call them rail fans. Well, I guess for this audience, they call them petrol heads.
That's right.
For the type of fans who enjoy these type of shows about fast cars and what have you. And this Final Gear forum, where I believe Alex would upload rips of these episodes because he mm-hmm. really wanted this show to come to the U.S.
That's right.
Started gathering a community of other people who were watching the show. And there's some talk about how this community that Alex built may have played a role into Top Gear UK coming over to the US to have a US-based show. So mm-hmm. there's that. But the Final Gear forum has been around for a number of years, I think for about 14 years, something to that effect. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to read a couple of quotes here from people who are longtime members of that forum. And the first one is by Matt 2000, and he says, quote, Final Gear has been a big part of my life for just over 13 years now. That's damn near half my life. It's an incredible community that we've built up over the years, spawned from Viper's work. Mm-hmm. I am really thankful that I stumbled across the community all that time ago and was able to get to know him, even having the pleasure of spending a weekend with him at the Ring Meet in 2015. Mm-hmm. Thanks to him, petrolheads who would otherwise probably never have met are regularly traveling the world together and he'll always be there, end quote. And the other one I have is by a user called MWF, quote. He says, a huge number of us owe Alex a massive thank you for the FG community. I speak from the heart when I say I have made lifelong friends from across the globe and enjoyed trips and experiences that I couldn't have dreamed of 10 years ago. None of that would have happened had I not been searching for an obscure piece of music from a TG episode and stumbled into this place, end quote.
It's funny.
And that's just two mm-hmm. of the responses into the forum. And look, I got to be honest. I was reading through that forum, and I was starting to get choked up because as you know, John, I think we're both huge fans of forums and communities, yep. mm-hmm. and I could relate so well to creating a forum based on a certain topic or a certain area of interest and building that community. And in fact, I did that with the tavern back in the day, which was so awesome. But to be able to go through with it for 13, 14 years is amazing. You developed this awesome community, and it was so awesome to see people talk about Viper's work and his dedication to this community and how it enabled people from all over the world to get together at these various meetups and have this one central location to talk about the thing they love, and that is fast cars, the television show, and what have you. And so the impacts that Viper's work, even though they may have been unbeknownst to him, are far-reaching across the globe.
Yep.
And he has a unique opportunity. Alex does to read into the impacts he's had, and I bet you for a few of these things he's been reading, he's thinking, oh my God, wow, I had no idea, that this was going on.
Yeah, it's I'm the forums part of it is like we've talked about on the show endless numbers of times. I really like the types of long-lasting kind of. I feel like you make the better connections through the longevity of the forums like that, because the environment is such where you are casual, you are you're not in the forums to work generally. You are in there being yourself, relaxed, kind of shooting the breeze back and forth, and it is a long-term goal. Generally, it's not Q&A. It's you're having a conversation with some people. You're writing a letter back and forth to one another. You're sharing ideas and things and checking back in and looking to see who's around and replies to you. It's not the instantaneous chat room style approach to discussion, and it's not the
forums are like an island, and you have to register, and it becomes an investment.
It's absolutely right, and it is sad when a forum goes away or gets abandoned, or you've invested some time in it and they start to close it down, or when you can tell that activity starts going away and it's something that hasn't is something that you kind of filter in and out of your life. And but the Final Gear forums have stayed pretty heavily, readily, active. And I mean, Alex and I have we've talked about the forums, and he had some BB Press patches. It doesn't run BB Press, but we've compared some notes on things that he would have used or needed to have built. And Alex and I worked together on the VIP team at Automatic for a few years, and I got to know Alex pretty well through WordPress and working at Automatic. So there's I have like no shortage of fun stories and times and days and trips and hours spent hanging out with Alex here and there. It's really sad.
So I know a few years ago, Alex finally accomplished a lifelong dream of his, and he purchased a beautiful-looking Dodge Viper, which you could see. He did a photo shoot of it a couple years ago on his blog. I mean, the guy has Viper in his name. He's got to own a Dodge Viper, right? It's a beautiful-looking car. Did you get a chance to get a ride in it? I didn't. But I know a few people have.
So I didn't, but I mean, it's not that we could. It wasn't that I couldn't. It was that other people definitely wanted to, and I was gonna. That's an experience that you have to share. And as I guess maybe not so much in the past few years, I've been more of a WordPress head than a petrol head, but I've driven in fast cars and stuff a bunch, and so it was mostly to let other people experience. It is a very fun, beautiful car. And yeah, I remember when he first bought that car, and it was a very exciting, very fun kind of experience. And the page on his blog with the car, he bought his Mustang so that he could practice driving stick, so that he would be able to drive his Viper. So his two cars were really all for one, to have a daily or a winter car or a bad weather car and the Viper. So
And one of his posts, he had just gone through about 11 months of treatment, and he was through the chemo and whatnot. He was weak, but he was able to get into the car. And after a day of driving, remember he said that his clutch leg or his clutch arm was very sore, but he said it was worth it.
It's definitely worth it. It's definitely worth it. I don't know. It's the Viper is a great car, and I think like I've owned many cars in my life and have raced some cars and built and rebuilt cars. Had cars stolen, which I will talk about at WordCamp Miami. But it was funny when Alex bought this car because it was the car that he wanted and knew that he wanted his whole life, and then basically saved every penny he could and did not buy a car until he could buy his Viper, right? Like the dedication that came out of this kid to buy the one single car that he fell in love with was very impressive, because I'm generally a person who gets impatient and knows what I want, but buys the crappier affordable version of it instead, and then and builds my way up to the thing. And so I remember just thinking, I'm like, oh boy, Alex, you don't want a Dodge Viper as your very first car. Like, that's oof. But I was definitely wrong. He totally proved me wrong.
Turns out my first car was a Mustang, automatic, but just happened to be a Mustang. That was kind of nice. But so back in, we lost Alex King. He was diagnosed with colon cancer. We lost him back in 2015, and we're going to lose Alex Mills to leukemia. So I mean, cancer sucks. I have cancer and all that, and I've been thinking, after reading through what the posts that people have been saying, I spent a lot of time last night and the other day thinking about what if I was in Alex's situation. What would I do? What would I write? Knowing that, this could be the last post I published, not trusting WP Cron to publish a future scheduled post. But, and it's, I don't know what I would say. I don't know what I would write. I don't know if I would write anything and just say the hell with it and go on about the rest of my life, and that's it. And chapter closed. And I wonder how difficult it must have been, if it was at all, for Alex to write those words into that WordPress prompt, knowing what he knows, knowing that his time's up.
I don't know. I mean, hopefully by now posting to the web seems pretty natural, or feels pretty natural to all of us. I bet you, I would say don't post it on Twitter. Do it to your own blog at least. But yeah,
I'm not going out with the Twitter thread. I can tell you that much.
I think this is natural. I think this is normal. Your blog is you. Your blog is the place where you share your thoughts and your feelings and things. And hopefully by now, with as much time as we've invested in WordPress and in the free and open and democratized web, that we should hopefully have a lot of confidence in our hitting publish and sharing what's going on. I get the need, and everybody's different. So I get maybe not wanting to do it, maybe stay private, maybe have it be your own thing. But I think hopefully we should feel comfortable hitting publish with stuff like this.
And this post, along with Alex King's blog post, which has 142 comments, I mean, this is a digital obituary with comments left open. And as long as there's no limit to when comments close on a post, people can come by. They can continuously leave comments, and it's just another digital part of the web. Where I mean, that's the last post. That's the last set of words that person published. Just something to think about there.
Yeah, I mean, I think I have a lot of. It's probably going to sound a little weird, but I mean, I have a lot of exposure or experience to the idea of death or dying. I mean, on a physical or philosophical sort of ways. I mean, and my father worked at a cemetery as his only job, pretty much from a teenager to retirement, and so it was I spent a lot of my childhood going to his work like you did in the 80s and spending time there and learning or riding my bike around. It was a beautiful cemetery, a very large, very very I would say pretty area, and so I think my perspective on it, I mean, not that the listeners might not care about that or the show, or they listen to WordPress, not about stupid family history, but for what it's worth, everyone is going to deal with these things differently. Everyone's comfort level with it is different, and someone in a different place in their life is going to feel differently about it. There are times where there are days where you feel like you've lived your best possible life, and if it was over tomorrow, that you'd feel pretty good about it. And then there are days where I feel like there's a lot left to do. And so, probably the past few years, I feel like there's probably a lot left to do. There's a lot to accomplish, and try and make the best of it as much as you can. But it's different. I think it's okay for it to be different for everybody.
So, I mean, throughout these years, did Alex's code or working with him, did he have any impacts on you? Positive impacts?
Oh, I have tons of good stories. Well,
just share one. Share the best. Share one that would get you in trouble.
Get me in trouble. Oh boy. So, I mean, I don't want to put Alex on the spot or anything, but one of my favorite Alex quirks that I saw, Nick Hamsey, I think, had even commented in Alex's blog post, is that Alex and myself included has even as a relatively quirky diet, pretty basic needs when it comes to food. Pizza.
He enjoys burritos.
And you like what you like, and then that's what you stick with. And so I have many very hilarious, fond memories of being at the WordPress core contributor meetups in Tybee Island, Georgia, or being at WordPress VIP meetups in Vegas or elsewhere, where folks want to go out and have a fancy dinner, and Alex wants to get pizza, wants to get McDonald's, and I am sometimes right there with Alex, like, let's go to McDonald's. I'm totally fine with that.
Let's share $20 of McNuggets.
Sure. That is totally 100% fine with me, because you don't always want seafood. You don't always want a fancy sit-down dinner. Sometimes you just need a nap, and sometimes and half a pizza, And so
I'm down with pizza anytime.
Me too. And so that was like, one of those running jokes after a couple of years. It's like, okay, Alex, let's just order a pizza. That's fine. It's there's just a ton of dumb little things, and that's what I think makes this fun. It makes friendships work. Is I think some of my best or favorite friendships are ones that end up being ones where you don't always see each other every day, or every year, or you kind of intersect, and you're happy to see them, and they're happy to see you, and you have a good couple of hours or something together, and you love each other for the quirky little things that make them them, and you move on. I mean, I'm going to save a story for WordCamp Miami, I think, because I've been thinking about Alex a lot too. I mean, in general, but also now with this post. And so I'm going to save my best story, I think, for WordCamp Miami. But yeah, I just think it's a dream job, working on your dream things, and to a lot of people that means work trips and fancy things. And Alex would rather road trip than fly, and I agree with that. Generally speaking, I'd rather drive pretty much across the country or anywhere than fly. Alex wasn't. He wasn't about the fancy things. I mean, a Dodge Viper maybe is a fancy car, but he didn't want it because it was fancy or flashy. He wanted it because it just was the car that he loved. He wasn't always about the flashy stuff. It was always about the time spent and the experience. So I think that shows.
So I wanted to wrap it up here. There are other things going on in the WordPress community, but to me, none of them pale to what's going on here with Alex. I think Alex takes top priority in terms of everything else that's going on. What this is it's another reminder that WordPress plugins, themes, open source code is created by human beings. And when things like this happen, it's kind of it's a reality check. That this stuff goes on, that we got these commits, these pull requests, these issues, these trackers and everything else, and then boom, we lose someone to cancer. And so I just wanted to take the time in this episode to acknowledge Alex's contributions to WordPress, to life, to the people around him, to the people across the world through his Final Gear community, and spend time talking about that. And I wanted to wrap up the show by reading what he says at the end of his post. Quote, "I want to thank everyone who has given me moral support through these difficult times. It has meant a lot hearing all of the love and support pouring from my friends and colleagues from around the world. I have been so grateful for all of the opportunities that have been given to me in my life, professionally and personally. Automaticians have really helped me grow professionally by giving me an amazing career for the past 9 years. My car friends have helped me grow socially and provided me so many good memories and life experiences. The people that I've gotten to know in the WordPress community have been very supportive as well. I am amazed by how many friends I have made and how much they have been there for me. They have all enriched my life and helped me grow as a person. Thank you, everyone," end quote. And I suppose if you're in that position, I thinking about what I would write, I guess I would write thank you as well. I'd be handing out thank yous and being appreciative of certain people and certain things and opportunities in my life. And but really, thank you, Alex, for everything you've done. And Godspeed, brother. And I'll see you on the other side. And with that, I don't know, any you're gonna start crying, John, but
not yet.
Not yet.
But man, it just sucks. I mean,
you lose the good ones too early.
That's always how it goes, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So you'll be around forever.
Wow. Wow. With that, you can find the show notes for this episode and all other episodes.
I'm just kidding, Jeff. I love you, Jeff.
On WPTavern.com. And we'll talk about, we'll catch everybody up with what's going on in the WordPress scene next Wednesday. We'll spend plenty of time talking about the news and what have you. We'll get back on track. Right. But you can follow me on Twitter at JeffrJFFR0. And John, I don't know. What are you doing these days?
JJJ.blog and GitHub and Twitter at JJJ.
Okie dokie. So if you get a chance, please find a way to read Alex's blog post, and please leave a comment if he has had a positive impact on you in any way, shape, or form, and or just want to give good wishes or what have you. Just let him know what you think, because you have an opportunity right now to let him know what you want him to know about what his plugins have meant to you or what have you. So we'll talk to you again next Wednesday afternoon. Say bye, John.
Bye, everybody. Bye, John. Bye, Jeff.